Hi, Leeor. Thank you so much for coming on the Power Woman Wellness podcast. We are so excited to have you today.
I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So we'll start off. Tell us a little bit about you. What got you into being a therapist, and a little bit of your backstory.
Yeah. So mine is pretty unconventional, my story of becoming a therapist. And it's one of those questions that I always get because I think that people want to hear how it's been my lifelong dream ever since I was little to be a therapist. And that just wasn't the case for me. I actually went to college for something completely different. I studied communications, specialized in public relations. I graduated school, I worked, and then I was like, I do not like this. Like, this is not, I was like, this is not for me. I was feeling so depressed at the time. I was like, is it because I just don't like working? Or is it because I'm just, not into this? And I ended up going back to school, finished my prerequisites, and this opportunity sort of fell in my lap. I mean, I really didn't think that I could be a therapist until I really was. And I know it's not the answer that most people want, because people like to know, exactly what they want to do and have it all planned out. And for me, it just wasn't like that. And it was amazing.
That's funny. I mean, I'm the opposite. Like I was a 5-year-old that always knew wanted to be in health. But it is so interesting when you're like in the industry that you studied in or want to be in, and it just ends up not being what you envisioned. So I'm glad that you found that like love for therapy, which I think all of us adults tend to find a love for therapy eventually.
Yes.
It's usually like when you're little thinking of therapy, like, oh, you have problems. And now I'm like, no, everyone needs therapy. Like everyone, every couple, every single person.
Everybody can definitely benefit from therapy.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about your health background. I always like to bring this up because I know people feel really encouraged and inspired to see like where you've come from and what you've struggled with, and just like humanizing just us being human and everyone kind of having their thing. So I would love for you to share your health story.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that I'm very, very open about, and especially like on social media, I always talk about it. I always refer to it. But when I think I was 16 years old, I was diagnosed with IBS, and being lactose intolerant. And around that time, actually, was the first time that I went to therapy, and also the first time that I even had a colonoscopy at age 17, which is craziness now looking back at it. And since then, it's just been a struggle with my gut health, with just figuring out what's going on with me, what's wrong, and finding also that, brain gut connection, and also how that plays a role in everything, which is sort of what led me to wanting to work with a lot of trauma. And I am trained in EMDR, and sort of working too with just like the mind and the body.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it's really incredible. And I mean, I think we get a ton of people that look at us a little weird when even they're coming for like hormonal imbalance, and we ask like, how's your stool? Like tell me about it. Like the texture, how often are you going? And they're like, I didn't really come for gut health issues. I came for hormones. But I'm like, it's so interconnected towards that. If you want healthy hormones, you need a healthy gut. You want to have less anxiety, you have to have a healthy gut. Like there's so many microbes in there that can influence the way that you feel. And I just always think it's so fascinating. And I think we've just like the top of the iceberg have uncovered really everything that gut health entails. So I feel like there's so much more to understand and learn about it.
Yeah. Also, sorry
And,
about my dog barking.
oh no, you're fine. And having like IBS so young and stuff, I know that's so hard, especially that's like your teenage years when you're not supposed to be worried about that stuff. So I'm sure that was really a lot at that age.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely a lot, and it's something that's so taboo to talk about. And you bringing up like the way your stool looks or how much are you going, to me, I've gotten to a point where I'm so open and communicative around it that I have no shame. I'm like, this is my issue and I don't care who knows about it.
that reminds me, it is taboo, but I love talking about topics that are supposed to be taboo because we're
Mhm.
all human and we should all normalize having sex and pooping and peeing. Like we all do that.
Yep.
But I was joking with my husband and I said, I could never be single. So like, you can never die. Um, because if I like went on a date, I have to know how your health is. And I would absolutely bring up, how is your stool before we go any further? How is your stool?
That is so, that's so funny because from my perspective, it's how are you taking care of yourself
Yeah.
mentally, right? So that is so funny how we're all sort of driven towards what naturally we think about in the day to day.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, just like that to me, telling me like, oh yeah, my stool's good. That's showing me like, okay, you must be, taking care of yourself, not just nourishment, but like you said, mental health, like that is such a trigger for IBS and gut issues. And so if that's good, I'm like, okay, that tells me a lot about like maybe how you care for yourself. So I do get a lot out of that question.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
So tell us your morning routine. We'd love to hear what a therapist does, kind of starting your day. And be as detailed as you want. Everything from like when you're waking up to what you're eating, what you're drinking, what are you doing for your mindset if you're doing anything.
Yeah.
Detailed, simple. Tell us it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say morning time is the hardest time for me because I have a slew of diagnoses associated with my stomach. But I drink water. That is the first thing I always do. And mostly it's because I need to take my Zyrtec in the morning, or else I'm sneezing the entire day. So I always drink water in the morning. And then lately, the past couple months, actually, I've been doing yoga almost every single morning, whether it's by myself with my partner. We like to do it together. Um, and it just wakes up the body. And I've always been like a hater towards like slow movement. Don't ask me why. I don't have a reason for it, but I was like, no, I gotta like do Zumba and like ride the
Yeah.
Peloton. And now I'm like, whoa, this is so much harder and so much better for my body. So I do that. And then after that, I go downstairs right away and I eat breakfast and I have a coffee. Um, my breakfast is typically like oatmeal with blueberries, strawberries, nut butter. Usually it's almond butter. Um, and then I have my coffee, which I will say I'm addicted to the Nespresso coffee. I want a real like Italian espresso machine in my house, but I live in Philadelphia and I just do not have room for one. So this will do for now. But I do drink coffee, which I know it is not always the best for me, but I cut down from 2 to 1. So that's
Hey,
already
hey. That's a
progress.
win.
Yeah, that's a win. And then after that, I go to the bathroom like 100 times, and then
Just gotta get that like bowel clean there.
yeah, it just like goes right through me. And then I go and I start my day with work typically, and I see a
Nice.
few clients, and I always this is something that has been so important to me since the beginning, since I started being a therapist, is I will never work during my lunch hour, meaning I'll never see clients at 12 and 1. It'll be either or, and I'll have my lunch either at 12 or I'll have it at 1
Nice.
because it's always important for me because I mean, first of all, I know myself and I know that I'm starving by that time anyways. But as a therapist, you can't eat and work at the same time. That's
Yeah.
highly inappropriate in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm always making sure I do that. So I have my lunch, see more clients, and then again, I have my dinner at like 6 o'clock,
Nice.
6, 7.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear this too from your perspective, because I would say this is anybody, whether honestly anyone, but I feel like especially in the health field, if you have a career here, and you're taking care of patients, it's really, really easy to kind of bring on and hold on to their energy. And this has been historically, not just me, but my dietitians too, where, yeah, we hold on to the energy because we care so much and we love our patients so much. And so when they're struggling, it is like you're on a roller coaster with them. And so and that can obviously affect routines and mindset and just mental health. So is there a way that you find to disconnect a little bit from patients to help protect your energy and mental health?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a learned skill and
Mm.
something that I worked really, really hard on in grad school because that is the hardest time. Um, and I think what really helped me, so when we were in grad school, and I don't know, I think a lot of programs do this, but we do therapy behind the looking glass, behind like the mirror, where my professor and some of my cohort sits behind a mirror and watches. I know, I see your
Oh,
face, watches me do
that's so
therapy.
nerve-wracking.
So nerve wracking, and it's all consensual. The client knows about it, and everybody knows what it is. But I remember in that moment where my cohort, my friends, you know, they were watching, and afterwards they were like, "Oh, Leeor, you're like kind of different," and I'm like, what do you mean by different?" And they're like, "I don't, you're just like more serious and like." Because in my personality, I'm very jokey, I'm very sarcastic, I'm very like la di da, and that definitely is a part of my like me being a therapist. But I also take my job very seriously, and I think being able to have sort of these like two identities when it comes to my
Mm.
job, not so black and white, but more of I don't need to be so serious. Like when I'm not a therapist, I'm not a therapist. I am
Mm.
absolutely not a therapist. So I think that disconnect and just being able to step out of that room, or I guess my home office, is sort of that like I need to put that hat down and I need to be myself. And that helps me disconnect from, you know, what I talked about in session. Now, of course, that doesn't always
No.
happen. It's not always so seamless. And I do care so much about my clients, and it comes up a lot for me. But there's also, you know, this narrative that I have to tell myself, like me being overly worried and concerned about them right now in this moment is not going to be beneficial for them, and it's not going
Yeah.
to be beneficial for me. So that's sort of like how I navigate this.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. I can imagine doing that. Just being under this microscope in grad school. I mean, so necessary, but oh, so nerve-wracking at the same time. But I love that because I know that I think that's why healthcare practitioners tend to get burnt out pretty easily. And I think it's because of that, because we're working so closely with other humans all day, and especially if we're moms. And now we're also after work, depending on other humans that are bugging you and not bugging you, but just they're taking up your time and energy. And it's just by the end of the day, you're like, who am I?
Well, and typically I love when people come up to me and they just like feel comfortable talking to me, and not in
Mm-hmm.
regards to my clients, but just like my friends, like people I meet. I do love that. But I definitely notice that if I'm starting to get irritated about something, then I probably need to chill a little bit with work, or I need to
Yeah.
like take a step back and like I'm too invested in this.
So true. So true. Usually when that happens, I'm just not doing my morning routine. Like I'm not spending time with myself. I'm not journaling. I'm just not,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm allowing my day to run me versus me running my day.
Yeah.
So you told us through dinner. So what does your nighttime routine look like? Do you do anything beauty wise? Again, mental health?
Yeah. You know what? I used to be that person that felt like they needed 100 like skincare products in order to have like good skin. And that's just not it. So basically all I do, literally my nighttime routine is when I'm in the shower, I wash my face with Cetaphil cleansing wash. And then I put the or not Cetaphil, yeah, Cetaphil, and then the Cetaphil? Yeah. Am
Yeah, I
I
think
saying
that's how you say it. I think that's how you say it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the CeraVe, I have the CeraVe like nighttime moisturizer, the PM, and I have the AM one, which I forgot to mention. I do put that on every single morning.
Okay.
Um, but other than that, I I read my book. I did come out with a journal a few months ago. Oh, that's not here. I don't know why I'm pointing over there. I kind of came out with a journal, and that it was a 12-week prompted journal. So obviously I did my own journal. Um,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, and it's just yeah, I like to sort of like come down in the evening. My partner and I watch a show right before bed, and then we go to sleep.
Yeah. Ditto. I love, I'm not opposed to TV at night. I mean, I wear my blue blockers, but I love escaping into
Mm.
like another world. It allows me to find like leave work world and just like have like fun. It's just all fun and enjoyment and not like work. Cause I also get that way with like podcasts and books I'm listening to, which I love. I go through like different seasons with it. Sometimes I'm like, no, I just want fun. Not like, I don't want to like better. I don't want to do any mental health stuff, like self-development. Like I want to pause and just have fun.
Exactly. And I think that's where reading came in for me, is I kept trying to read about mental health, that I couldn't do it. And as soon as I picked up a book that was just like a fun read, I was like, oh, like I like reading. This is great.
Yes. People ask me like, what's your favorite like nutrition or food book? And I'm like, honestly, granted, I finished my master's last year or the year before, honestly, I think last year. Anyways, I was like, when I'm in school, I'm so textbook heavy that I'm like, I am definitely not reading no book by just no, I'm reading fun if I'm going to read fun out of it. So I'm like, unless you want me to give you a textbook recommendation, I absolutely have no recommendation for you.
Yep, exactly.
Tell us, so you told me a little bit about what you eat a day. So like oatmeal is a pretty basic breakfast for you, as well as coffee. What does like your lunch and dinner look like?
Oh, my lunch. I'm very much like I have to eat something different every single day or else I'll go crazy. um, I don't know. Lunch is either like an egg salad sandwich with like chips. I know I love egg salad.
Mm.
I love mayo. It's my favorite
Mm.
condiment. It's people like make faces when I say it, but like I don't know about this, but we finished tubs of mayo in my house. So anything with mayo, I eat.
Tuna salad, egg salad.
Yep, do that. Just a regular sandwich with like, yeah. If I'm dipping chicken nuggets, it's in mayo. Like
What?
fries in mayo. Oh yeah, we love mayo in this house.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why, we just love it. But yeah, so just a typical sandwich. I'll do like sometimes like tuna tacos. That's what I'm having for lunch today.
Ooh, that
Yeah,
sounds good.
yeah. And then for dinner, I'll make either pasta, pizza with, protein, whether it's shrimp, or I just started eating chicken again. So like chicken.
Nice.
Um, or I'll do, like last night I made shakshuka. I don't know if you know what that is.
Oh,
Um,
no, I don't think so.
shakshuka is a Mediterranean dish, and it's basically it's typically eaten for breakfast, but it's kind of like my breakfast for dinner. I grew up, my parents made it for dinner. Um, and it's like this egg dish with like tomato sauce and peppers and onions, and eggs, and
Oh,
you take bread and kind of just like dip and eat. So that was delicious. It's one of our favorite dishes that I make here. And I don't know, yeah, lots of vegetables. I added lentils to it, like because I need the
nice.
fiber. um, yeah, so I do a lot. I mean, I was pescatarian for 7 years,
Okay.
and vegetarian, vegan on and off. So I incorporate a lot of vegetables too into my diet.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm a team breakfast for dinner. I think that's even on like the meal plan for this week. I think maybe Friday, when I was meal planning everything, I'm like, I don't know. I was like, man, just nothing is better than like eggs or some gluten-free pancakes or whatever it is. Like our family loves breakfast for dinner.
Yeah, it's just so good.
And I think after you said the name and you described it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen that in one of the cookbooks I have. I want to say like maybe Define Dish or maybe Danielle Walker's. I don't know, but that sounds very familiar now that you say like what's in it. I'm like, I think I've seen it before.
You definitely have.
Yeah. Do you have any other meals healthy meals that you love, just always in rotation, can't get enough of it
Um, I mean,
outside of mayo?
I said mayo and pizza and pasta because that's on the menu every single week. Um, I guess it's hard. I think for me, it's hard to define healthy, mostly because I am not a dietitian, right? So I don't
It's true.
know a lot of times what I should, and I probably should figure that out, but I don't know what I should be eating. But I feel like on rotation, oh my gosh, now I'm like, what do I eat? That's so funny.
I know. Isn't that funny when you like hyper focus on it and then you're like, wait, what do I
We
eat?
I will say a lot of times we have salmon with like zucchini and like rice or like any like sweet potatoes. That's also something we have every single week that I love.
Do you love like more simple meals, or do you love to cook? Where are you kind of like getting creative in the kitchen?
I do love getting creative and I do love to cook.
Nice.
It's just that I don't always have the time to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm the one in the household that knows and actually enjoys cooking. Um, and don't want hot dogs every night for dinner, or at all. But
Yes.
but yeah, I made I taught myself how to make pasta from scratch the other night and it was so much fun, but I really felt it in the morning because I needed that dough like so hardcore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm always, but I really love to bake more than I like to cook. Like sweets
Nice.
are my favorite.
Nice. I know I love baking. I'm the same way in this household. Like I'm the only one that knows like that can cook slash is willing to. So if I don't, we tend to have to, which Austin is awesome because we have so many like restaurants around here that are farm to tables. Like if we really want food out, like we have all the selection. So we are very lucky in this regard because growing up in Florida, I did not have that. No, it's not very fun. So you're kind of like, if you're not cooking, then you're definitely eating like pretty crummy food. So very lucky in that sense, but yeah, I have to be the one that's doing the cooking if we're going to cook. What do you do? I guess if that is the case, you're tired, you're busy, you don't have a lot of time. Like, what is your go-to? Like just eating out? Maybe quality even declines a little bit if you're in an area that doesn't have a lot of options. What does that look like?
Yeah. So I think because I have so many gut issues that eating out often is really scary to me. And I know that it sort of sets me back with any progress that I do in relation to my stomach not being in pain 24/7. Um, so we try to only eat out once a week, at most. But if I'm like, I really don't feel like cooking, like it is what it is, I'll just throw on some like tortilla chips, maybe like sprinkle some cheese or like vegan cheese on top, and then like cut up avocado and like, well, I'll melt the cheese and then cut up some avocado and do some like nachos, or I love doing chickpea pasta. Just something that's very like, I just got to heat something
Easy.
up. Yeah, just
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Salmon in the air fryer, that's like mine. Just because it's usually frozen. So it just is so quick to defrost. So I usually will just throw it in the air fryer. It'll be done in like 5 minutes. And I'll just scrounge up, I don't know, any veggies that if I have any left over, or even just like fruit or just like weird stuff, but it's just like nourishment. And I just don't want to think about it.
Wow, you know what? My air fryer, I guess, sucks because I cannot put anything for 5 minutes in there and for it to be done. Okay, I need to get an air fryer. Got it.
What? Okay. I mean, yeah, it doesn't take long. Definitely less than 10, maybe 7 minutes, but definitely less than 10. It doesn't have to be in there for 10.
Oh,
And as
yeah.
long as it's like defrosted. Yeah. I have the Cuisin art. That's a little bit clunkier. I mean, they're all kind of clunky, but this
Mhm.
one is like a toaster and a convection oven and an air fryer. So it's kind of
Oh,
like 3 in 1. And I think I got it at Costco. It was like on sale and I was like, oh yes, please. I doubt they have it because I think I bought it maybe a year and a half ago, but
mm,
I'm obsessed for that. It's like really quick things. Oh, it's so
yeah,
awesome.
I agree.
Um, and then I know you said yoga you're loving, but what other exercise do you do or you love, even if you've had to like take a little break on it?
Yeah, I love playing tennis. So any friend that is ever like, Leeor, do you want to play tennis? I'm like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm like, yes, I am obsessed with it. I don't know what it is about it. It's just that like total disconnect from everything that's going on in life. And you're just like focused on talking with your friends and like just playing. It's never, I'm not a competitive person. So I never play for points. So it's just like so much fun. And I love going on walks. So like I am a huge walker and yeah, tennis. And I just picked up golf, which is really fun too.
Oh, nice. I love tennis too. And pickleball, which is kind of like tennis, to be
Yeah.
honest. But I can't say if I'm good at it. So yeah, I'm like not interested in playing for points because I don't know if I'm doing it right, but it's just so fun to play, even if you're playing wrong.
My rule, and if any of my friends are listening that play with me, my rule is keep it in, just keep it in. That's the rule. Doesn't matter if it like you hit it when it's out, just keep it in. Let's just keep the game going.
Yes, so true. It's so true. What are some things that help you stay in as much a routine as possible? So, obviously days can you have a plan, but does not run per usual. Do you have any non-negotiables that you stick with no matter what because it's so important to you and you know that without it, you really like suffer mentally or physically?
Yeah. So I definitely have to eat 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
I have never been that person that was just too busy and forgot they needed to eat. I am a huge intuitive eater, and I know my body at this point well enough to know that I am hungry during those times. And if I'm hungry in the middle, I eat. I am like, I do a lot of funny reels, like, and one of the one that actually blew up was like, what do therapists do? And they're like 10-minute breaks. Sometimes I'm like running to the bathroom. Sometimes I'm like running downstairs to get a snack. Like, I cannot handle that like feeling of like, because I can't focus. If
Yeah.
I'm hungry, I cannot focus. So I always set aside time for me to eat. That is a non-negotiable for me. Um,
I'm obsessed that you said that because surprisingly, that's not common. And it is very, especially with our women in power clients. I get it. We're busy. I know, but it's crazy to think that taking a lunch break, like an actual lunch break to sit and eat and enjoy your food and not be like on the go or whatever, is kind of taboo. And I feel like it shouldn't be. It should be absolutely such a top priority. So I'm so glad you said that because I think no matter how busy, how successful you are, you can make time. We all have 24 hours and we can absolutely make time to eat. And if you're not, then your priorities are a little out of whack. You got to nourish your body.
yeah,
Simple.
yeah, and I say this too because through my job, obviously, I'm learning so much about people that I felt that this was normal because I grew up like this, and
Yeah.
my parents always put eating as a very important part of the day. I never just had a snack or I never had a granola bar for breakfast and call it a day. I also don't have the luxury of doing that because I will just get sick. I can't digest that. But when my clients tell me like, oh yeah, I don't know I don't even know what to eat for lunch. I'm like, oh, like really interesting. Like where tell and then obviously I go into like the family and like what happened, growing up, what did this and why don't you try this? What do you like eating? And we talk about things like
Yeah.
that. But anytime a client of mine says like they're not eating this during a certain meal, I'm like, well, that's important. Like if you have the time, it's really important to set that aside for yourself.
It's kind of crazy that we even get out of it because if you think about it, when we're younger, we usually would eat something before going to school. Lunchtime at school is a set time where you take a break from your studies and eat.
Mhm.
And then obviously most of the time you go home and you have dinner. And so it is kind of crazy that some people have grown out of that and they want to like, I appreciate intuitive eating, but I feel like a lot of women that come to us aren't ready for that step yet because they are if they rely on intuitive eating, they will skip meals and they will be severely under eating. And it's like, no, you got to do it even though you're not hungry and even though you don't feel like it because your body's so accustomed to that. We need to kind of grow that. But anyways, I just think it's interesting because we all pretty much, if you went to school in the US, which is majority of people, we kind of got out of that. And I'm wondering why. Maybe we just feel like we've overburdened our schedule with a lot of things. And so we're just trying to fit that and eating tends to go out the door. And yeah, people are just like, I'm not hungry, but you still gotta eat.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times I really worry about the culture that has been set for many women in relation to food, in relation to body size and the expectations, the
Yeah.
unrealistic expectations, and falling into those habits might have been, by accident, or it could have been, for really unfortunate reasons. And that's something to always be. And I'm sure you see this, and I don't typically work with disordered eating in a more serious capacity, but it's something that is really important to tackle
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of unlearning that we have to teach of that like food is fuel. Like it is pretty crazy for people to view nutrition in the sense of, oh, if I eat 3 meals a day, if I don't skip breakfast or fast, I'm going to gain weight. And I'm like, well, actually, in the long term, you will gain weight because your metabolism is going to tank because you don't have that fuel to fuel your body. So there's a lot of unlearning. And I don't know, I guess I can blame it on technology evolution and all the access of information we have. And I don't know, maybe that. So everyone's just like, but I read this is good and this is good and intermittent fasting's good and keto's good. But I'm like, it all comes back to you though. You're such an individual, which is a big part of our practice is you're an individual. So what works for one person may not work for you. And it's trying to find that like inner key of like, what do you, what works for you?
I fully agree with that. And that's also when we talked about like, what are healthy meals? I sort of said, I don't even know, because what is healthy for me is going to be healthy for somebody else. I've also seen, I used to see a dietitian before when I was diagnosed with SIBO and IBS. And I was like, what the heck can I eat for my body? Which again, somebody with my diagnosis is going to be eating something differently than somebody with celiacs. And I remember saying to her, like, is this healthy? And she goes, there's no such thing. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? She's like, well, Leeor, just because like you can tolerate this doesn't mean that person can tolerate that as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Like I'm allergic to spinach, which is so healthy, so good for you, but it's not for me. I can't tolerate it.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, I think there's even, you can navigate as well into the mental health realm is like, okay, there's like physically healthy, right? The nourishing things. And then there are things that really aren't quote unquote nourishing, but they are mentally make you happy. Obviously I look at health in like seasons. So there's like a healing season where, you got to be a little bit stricter in certain things to help move your body. But once you're in that phase of where you're feeling really good, you're not really struggling with that, you can totally like start evolving and like being able to bring back foods that again, aren't as physically nourishing, but maybe be mentally nourishing, and you can feel okay, you can tolerate them again. So I view like health in seasons where it's not black and white of avoid this forever. I don't know, you evolve and change. And
I love that. That's such a beautiful way to put it. Yeah. In season.
Because I hate diet culture, but I actually hate anti-diet culture too. So there's like just a blend. I think that there's a middle ground that you can meet at.
Yeah.
So what other balancing tips do you have? Whether it's, you call it balancing or work-life integration. I love that you spend time with your partner doing yoga. So it's like honestly killing two birds with one stone, like physical activity, spending time with partner, check. What other tips that do you have to help rebalance your life to make sure you're not overworking yourself?
Yeah, I think incorporating more of the things that make you feel good. And I don't mean feel good in the sense of like, you're getting this like shot of dopamine for 1 second, but doing things that make you in the long term feel good. So that can look like, doing your laundry, making sure your house is clean. And and I don't even mean like you gotta like crazy clean every single day, but like there's some crumbs, let's just wipe them up, let's throw them away, let's fold the clothes, right? Because then what happens is obviously we then get into a routine, but we get into a rhythm, a cycle that feels good for us, makes us feel good, makes our space look good, and just incorporating more of that, but without shame, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't do it, I'm not going to sit there and, hit my head and say, crap, I'm so stupid, I can't believe it. No, it happens. Some days are going to be easier than others. And the days that are not easy, we say, thank you that I did, this yesterday, and I don't have to work so hard at it today.
I think that there needs to be a lot of, that expectation adjustment. Like the all or nothing mentality is so false. Like you'll never achieve that. It's just not possible. And I think if we just lower expectations and understand you're going to have those hard days, that, it's normal. We all do it. So you're not alone. You're not a failure. It's just one of those days.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, yesterday I sat on the couch and I read a book for, I think 4 hours instead of doing quote what I was supposed to be doing, because you know what? That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah. Oh, oh my gosh, that is me probably the past couple of weekends where I feel like I need to be doing something productive. But I actually just I'm reading the book, or it's a series, I don't know yet. The Court of Thrones and Roses, or I don't know. I might be mixing up
Oh.
the words there. But it's a really popular series right now. It's really good. And I will say that I was reading it and I'm like, wow, this actually be a really good show or movie. And then I Googled it. I'm like, there's no way with how popular this series right now. And it is, I think, coming out on like Hulu.
Ooh.
I think the same person who is doing Outlander. So I was like, I knew it. I knew this book series was really good. But yeah, I think we all are guilty of having that thought in the back of our head of like, we should be productive. Oh, here's an open time in our slot. Let me fill it. And it's like, no, you don't have to. It's really important to get out of that mindset.
Yeah, there's no should, there's I want and I need.
Oh, love that. Do you have, though, a favorite podcast or resource, book, even social media account that you love following that uplifts you, self-development, anything you love?
I have not had any time to be on podcasts. Unfortunately, that used to be when I commuted a lot. I would go and I would listen to podcasts like every single day. And now that I'm not commuting, I've digressed. Um, but social media, I'm on it all the time. I mean, well, all the time because I make content.
Yeah.
Uplifting, I say it's good to have a balance of the feed that you create or generate for yourself. Meaning, do we want some mental health content? Yeah, we absolutely do. Do we want something funny? Absolutely. Not like I always said, not everything needs to be serious. When I'm not a therapist, I'm
Yeah.
silly goose, and that's how I want to keep it.
Yes.
But I don't know. I have so many. It's so hard because I'm like pulling out my phone now, but I have so many accounts. I have so many friends that I've made on social media that are so amazing and good people to follow. Therapy with Maggie is one. Mind Matters with Div is another one. I love her. My Therapy Tribe. They all do such good educational, but like informative and like uplifting information that I've connected with them throughout the years of all of us just sort of being on this platform, not knowing what we're even getting ourselves into.
I love that.
But yeah, I've been loving them. And reading wise, but like the reading in regards to like mental health, any book by Esther Perel is going
Ooh.
to be a godsend to your relationship. She has an entire book on infidelity. She has a book on communicating with your partner. She has social media, of course, but she has TED Talks. Anytime like I would work with a client, I would just watch with a couple, I would watch her TED Talks beforehand just to like pump myself up because
Wow.
she is incredible. So yeah, I
Ooh,
love her.
awesome. Noted. I'm going to put that in the show notes and those Instagrams that you mentioned too. And
Yeah.
speaking of your Instagram, I'll definitely put yours as well. But share with us, how can we support you and how can we find you?
Yeah. So on Instagram, I'm the therapy gal, but there's underscores because that name was taken and I can't
The
get it. I
worst.
know, the worst. So it's the underscore therapy underscore gal. And something that everybody always finds funny is my last name's Gal, which is the pun of the Instagram name.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. I don't know why. I just realized.
no, because it's a word. I'm a gal and I'm also a gal.
Gal. I'm a gal.
I'm a gal. So
That's awesome.
if you forget my last name, now you know forever.
Won't forget for sure.
But yeah, you can support me there, of course. I'm also on TikTok on the therapy gal, no underscores. And I just make really funny, I like to think funny, relatable, destigmatizing therapy content, most of the time making fun of me as a therapist, or like sometimes I do educational stuff, of course, but mostly it's just silly videos.
So fun. And then you can see people only in PA, correct? And people
Yeah.
wanted to work with you.
Yeah. So I am currently licensed in PA. I have a temporary but pending permanent license in New Jersey, which is so exciting
Nice.
because that's where I grew up and I want to move back to my roots in New Jersey.
Oh,
So I'm excited for that. And I also have a contractor, her name's Annalise, and she also sees people in
nice.
Pennsylvania. So
Awesome.
I've been so booked up for a very long time, which is why I brought somebody else on, because I was like, yeah, there's clearly a need, and it's not ethical for me to just keep having a wait list. I gotta like, you know, give people off. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, give people options. I mean, so it's really yeah, Pennsylvania, and it's been really good. I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We will definitely put all your stuff in the show notes if anyone wants to reach out to you. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.